Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will tell you about the Baldur from Norse mythology. Baldur, the beloved son of the great god Odin and his wife, Frigg. The story of the god Baldur is one of the most famous and one of the most complete in Norse mythology. It has been retold many times over the centuries, from Snorri Sturluson's account in the Prose Edda to the story by the Danish scholar Saxo Grammaticus and the poem by Th. Baldur's dreams. When Baldur became a young man, he began to have fearful dreams that seemed to foretell his death. None of the gods could understand the meaning of these dreams. His unhappiness cast sadness over all who lived in Asgard, the home of the Aesir gods. Odin, determined to solve the mystery of his son's dreams, mounted his horse, Sleipnir, and made the long journey to the underworld, Niflheim. There he called up a seeress, one of the Volva. When she arose from her tomb, Odin introduced himself as Vegtam, the Wanderer, son of Voltum. Odin asked the Volva why the halls of hell were decked with gold and the table set for a grisly feast. The seeress replied that it was for Baldur. Odin asked who would slay Baldur. The seeress answered that the blind Hödur would cast a fatal branch at his brother. Odin then asked who would avenge Baldur's death. The seeress answered that Odin would take Rinda as a wife, and their son would be Vali, too, who would take vengeance when he was only 1 night old. Odin asked who would refuse to weep for Baldur. At this question, which revealed that Vegtam knew or guessed more of the future than an ordinary mortal could, the Volva realized that Vegtam was in fact Odin, or Alfader. She refused to answer any more questions and sank into her tomb, vowing to speak no more until Loki's chains were unbound. That is, until the end of the world. This story is found in Baldur's Dramar, Baldur's Dreams, in the Poetic Edda. Frigg and the Mistletoe. When Frigg realized that her son Baldur's life was in danger, she sent her messengers to every corner of the world to extract promises not to harm her beloved son. Stones and metals, water and wind, fish and birds, reptiles and mammals, trees and flowers, insects, spiders, and scorpions, all creatures alive and all objects large and small swore that they would not harm Baldur. Only one small green plant, the mistletoe, which grew on the mighty oak tree, was not asked to make the promise, for it was so frail that no one paid attention to it. The gods at play. Word soon spread through Asgard that Baldur was absolutely invulnerable. Nothing could harm him. The young gods, always ready for fun, made a game of throwing things at Baldur: stones, knives, sticks. Whatever they threw glanced off Baldur's body, leaving him totally unharmed, to the merriment of all. Only Loki did not join in the fun. Instead he disguised himself as a woman and paid a visit to Frigg. Pretending to be astonished and disgusted at the sport the gods were making of Baldur, Loki tricked Frigg into revealing the information he sought: that there was indeed one object in the world that had not taken the vow to be harmless to Baldur. That object was the mistletoe that grew on the branches of the oak tree outside Valhalla. Loki hurried away, plucked a sprig of mistletoe, and hastened to the field of Idavil, where the merry young gods were still at play. Only the blind god, Hödur, hung back, for he could not see. Loki approached Hödur, put the mistletoe branch into his hands, and offered to guide his aim. Hödur gladly accepted. The death of Baldur. Hödur threw the fatal weapon and killed Baldur. When Baldur fell dead, a terrible silence fell upon the gods, and then they cried out in a fearful wail. Baldur, the good, the beautiful, the god of light, had been snuffed out like a bright candle. The gods would willingly have killed Hödur there and then, but ancient laws forbade that blood should be shed in Idavil. Baldur's funeral pyre. The gods built a huge funeral pyre on Ringhorni, Baldur's dragon ship. On it they laid the body, surrounding it with rich tapestries, heaps of flowers, vessels of food, clothes, weapons, and precious jewels, as was the custom of the Norse. Nanna, Baldur's loving wife, fell grief-stricken over the body and died, so the gods placed her tenderly on the pyre beside her husband. Then they killed Baldur's horse and hounds and placed them beside their master so he should lack for nothing. One by one all the gods drew near to say farewell to their beloved companion. Last of all came Odin, who took off his magic arm ring, Draupnir, and placed it on his son's body. Then he stooped and put his mouth to Baldur's ear, but nobody knew what he had whispered. When the gods tried to launch the ship, it was so heavy that not even Thor's phenomenal strength could move it. The gods accepted the help of Hyrrokin, a giantess who galloped onto the scene riding a huge wolf and holding reins of writhing snakes. Hyrrokin gave the vessel a mighty shove and launched it into the sea. The funeral pyre burst into flames, and Thor went on board to consecrate the fire with his magic hammer, Mjolnir. As he was performing the rite, the dwarflet got under his feet, and Thor kicked him into the flames, where he burned to ashes along with Baldur and Nanna. The ship drifted out to sea, burning brightly, and the gods watched it in mourning until it disappeared and the world became dark.